Welcome to another edition of Let's Play WCW 1998. This is Monday Nitro, and the road continues. We are now in the month of June. The path till the end is becoming clearer. It will either be this month, Bash at the Beach, or next month, Great American Bash, when this installment of the Let's Play series is over. Up until then, we still got a show to do, so let's get it underway right now. We kick off tonight's broadcast with the return, or the debut, of the official debut of the new authority figure, his first night in power, the American Dream, the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. He was named as the representative of the WCW Championship Committee by WCW Championship Committee President Tully Blanchard last night at Slamboree. Fact is, Dusty Rhodes was named the representative because of the fact that he can talk a hell of a lot better than Tully Blanchard can, and a hell of a lot better than J.J. Dillon. That's why I gave the part to the American Dream over those two. Dusty I think would probably say something to the effect of, don't mind this, but Dusty would have said something to the effect of, I am now in power, and I will lead WCW to the future, and make the bright skies turn blue for the WCW, because preparation is key, and we will prepare for the future. Just as Dusty's going off on his, tangent where very few people understand what he's talking about, but everybody knows that it's something good. His former rival, the Nature Boy, Ric Flair, hits the ring, and Ric Flair first congratulates Dusty on becoming the representative of the WCW Championship Committee, and tells him that he needs Dusty Rhodes. And he tells Dusty that he needs Dusty Rhodes because he wants... Sorry, my eye itched and my neck was stiff all at the same time. Because he wants to settle his beef with Roddy Piper. Because he wants Roddy Piper 1-on-1. And Dusty Rhodes said, Ric Flair, I'm going to take it under advisement. Right now, the Dream has to think about what he wants to do, and when he'll let Ric Flair go against Roddy Piper. As you can hear, I got a little bit of Dusty Rhodes in me, because I'm trying. How would you rate my Dusty Rhodes-esque mannerisms? Put a comment down in the comment section below, 10 being the highest, 1 being the lowest. You think I do a good Dusty? Now we move to the broadcast position where Mike Today, Bobby Heenan, and Tony Schiavone discuss Ric Flair and Roddy Piper and what happened last night at Slamboree and what still has left and how much their rivalry, their feud, still has left to give. And how Bobby Heenan believes Flair isn't done until he makes sure you remember that his name is Ric Flair. Now we move to the first match here tonight, which is Davey Boy Smith against Das Wunderkind, Alex Wright. I do believe that this is the first time I'm actually using Alex Wright on Nitro for a while, but that's because Alex Wright has been a Saturday Night regular, and also this is the first time since he quit that Davey Boy Smith is featured on Nitro. So, welcome back to both guys for being featured in their first match. And speaking of that, what would his return to Nitro be without him cutting a promo on the group of guys on the two men who basically got him to quit? Hollywood Hogan and Eric Bischoff. He focuses on Hogan, and he basically, in a matter of ways, says something to the effect of this: Hogan, you and your scrawny little sidekick, Eric Bischoff, you're just jealous of the success of the Hart family. Because you may have had to work from brick number 1 to develop your name. And people respect you for that, but I'm not one of those people, because you are one of those people that believe I married into wrestling. There are those people who think I married into wrestling. There are those people that think Bret and his brothers were born into the wrestling business. Fact is, that couldn't be further from the truth, because just like you had to build from brick 1, Hogan, myself and Bret and his brothers had to work twice as hard to get rid of the stigma that were in it because we married into it, or because of the fact that we were born into it. So don't think you had it easy. Don't think we had it easy, rather. Don't think you had an easier road than us, because you didn't, Hogan. And keeping with that, I want to prove to you something. I want to tell you something, that if it wasn't for your scrawny little sidekick Eric Bischoff, you would not have had the opportunity to even defeat Bret Hart, because your sidekick made sure of it. And Hogan, I'm issuing the challenge right now. I want you one-on-one next week on Nitro. Are you man enough to step in the ring with me? Hogan, are you? We move away from that, and if you remember last week on the pay-per-view, I had Jericho and Lance Storm talking, and they cut a promo on the Faces of Fear, making fun of the Faces of Fear, and saying, basically a Chris Jericho promo from 1999 in WCW or WWE, where he prototypically made fun of his opponents like Juventud Guerrero, Rey Mysterio, Dean Malenko, Road Dogg, list goes on. But fact of the matter is, to end the segment, I would make sure to have them say, Harlem Heat, listen to what we're saying, because what we're saying is, we aren't done with you yet. You didn't beat us. The Faces of Fear beat us. We want another shot at the titles. And believe you me, we won't stop until we get it. They get into the ring, the Thrillseekers up against another team that used to be, at one point could be comparable to the Thrillseekers. Rick Martel is the Lance Storm, and Tito Santana would be the Chris Jericho. I am not comparing their careers, because Chris Jericho has been a lot more successful to Tito Santana. No offense to Tito Santana or Rick Martel, but making the comparison based on their team, it is a viable comparison because of their styles in the ring. Rick Martel's being similar to Lance Storm's, and Tito Santana's being similar to Chris Jericho. Either way, the Thrillseekers win. Chris Jericho gets the victory over Rick Martel via submission. Post-match, the Harlem Heat come out on the ring. The Harlem Heat come out on stage and face off with the Thrillseekers, and the tension between these two teams is palpable. You can feel it. You can feel the tension. These two don't. They just face off, and then you see Harlem Heat hold up the tag team titles and say, "You ain't getting these from us, but you can go ahead and try." And now we move to this segment, which is Sting versus Diamond Dallas Page. Yes, tonight's main event is Sting versus Diamond Dallas Page. And fact of the matter is, it has nothing to do with the world. No, I'm actually not messing with you. It actually has nothing to do with the world title. It is just Sting versus Diamond Dallas Page as a rematch, or a half rematch from last night, and that's what the announcers are discussing. This segment is basically integrating some real life aspects into the show, because if you don't know the significance of DDP and Dusty Rhodes, I will include DDP's tribute to Dusty in the description. A link to DDP's tribute to Dusty in the description below, and that'll explain why, how this is including a real life significance, real life stuff in the show. But what is said in this segment is basically just DDP congratulating Dusty on getting the job as authority representative of the championship committee. Now we move to the next match, which is Raven versus Mortis. Yes, you might say, don't they feud? In real WCW, yes, they feud. I am not sure if they feud in 1998 or 1999. I'm pretty sure it depends on I think it was 1998. I think they were feuding going into Road Wild 1998. But because I am not a big fan of Road Wild, you may not see them feuding at Road Wild, but you could see them feuding beforehand. Now we move to the next segment, which is post-match. Perry Saturn comes out, and what does Perry Saturn have to say? Well, scratch out the part that it's in the locker room. It's not in the locker room. It is in the ring. Perry Saturn comes out following Raven's match, meets Raven on the stage, and both men begin to argue with each other. But we can't hear what is happening. But it seems like Perry Saturn is arguing with Raven over the fact that he doesn't like being second in command in the flock, and he thinks that Raven should make him his equal. Raven disagrees. Now we come back from commercial break, and Bret Hart is standing in the ring. Or Bret Hart's music starts to play. He walks down to the ring. He's got a mic. He's got something to say. And what he's got to say is something like this. Dusty Rhodes! Get out here. Get out to this ring right now. I got something to ask. Well, first, Dusty Rhodes comes out. Bret Hart tells Dusty what he's got to say, but before, and yes, what he's got to say has to do with Eric Bischoff and Hulk Hogan, but before Bret Hart finishes, Eric Bischoff interrupts, and Eric says, Bret, you got to figure on one thing. Dusty is has control over the wrestlers of WCW. I am not a wrestler. So, Dusty has no control over me. That's right. What Eric Bischoff interrupted Bret Hart when he was in the middle. Eric Bischoff interrupted Bret Hart when he was in the middle of asking Dusty to make a match for Bash at the Beach. Bret Hart against Eric Bischoff. 1-on-1. Eric, that's just like you. That's just like you to throw that out there and hide behind a technicality instead of standing up and being a man. Then you know something, Eric? The one thing you don't understand is I can talk to you however the heck I want, because if what you just said is right, then you don't control me, he does. And he points to Dusty. And Dusty just steps in and says, Hold on a second. Eric. You're right. I control the WCW wrestlers, not you, because you're not an active wrestler. But I will say that I can make it happen like that, because I got friends in high places that can make you compete. What I can do is say this, that at Bash at the Beach in Daytona Beach, Florida, in 3 weeks, it can be Bret the Hitman Hart and Davey Boy Smith on one side, Hollywood Hulk Hogan on the other side. That's right, Eric. if you don't team up with Hulk Hogan, he's competing at Bash at the Beach against Bret Hart and Davey Boy Smith in a handicap match. And no, the catch is that nobody else will or can team up with Hulk Hogan but you. And if you don't, Hogan will be in a handicap match. So think about it, Eric. And Eric's looking around, he's pissed off as we move to a video package promoting Goldberg and what he did last night at Slamboree, winning his first WCW United States Championship belt. We move to the next segment where the new Cruiserweight Champion is in action against Prince Hayakea, and Eddie Guerrero is victorious over the Prince. Eddie hops on the shtick and cuts a promo and talks about beating the Ultimo Dragon last night and saying that his win had nothing to do with the interference or the presence of Evan Courageous that cost Ultimo Dragon his WCW title, Cruiserweight title. He says something like this: "This title is with me now, and it has nothing to do with that no-name upstart making his presence felt in the match, distracting the Dragon and causing the Dragon to get eliminated, because whether the Dragon was distracted or not, he wouldn't have won. It's just a matter of when. It's not a matter of if he would have gotten eliminated. Because last night was my time to shine and was my opportunity to win this title back." I ignore that segment because that segment should have been him, Curt Hennig, and not Eric Bischoff. But I chose the wrong person. We move to the next segment, which is a match between Bret Hart and Curt Hennig. Reason for this match: Curt Hennig is in the NWO, Bret Hart going against the NWO leader. Also, I knew Curt Hennig and Bret Hart would have a good match. If you remember correctly, back a couple months, Bret Hart was feuding with Randy Savage. Curt Hennig joined the feud to distract Bret Hart. Curt Hennig and Bret Hart never fought. Bret Hart quit the company in March before him and Curt Hennig could lock horns in the ring. So this is a long time coming, if I had to say. Next we move to a video package regarding the pay-per-view and promoting highlights of the highlighting the pay-per-view and promoting the replay of the pay-per-view that will be airing all throughout on Tuesday and Thursday of this week. Call your local pay-per-view provider for more information. And now we move to the next segment, which is Mean Gene Okerlund standing by with his guest at this time, Sting. Gene asks Sting, what are your thoughts on what happened last night at Slamboree and coming up short against Randy Savage in the Fatal 4-Way? Gene, I have nothing to say other than, Randy, that title will be mine again soon. Whether I'm beating you for it or somebody else, it doesn't really matter. Next, we move backstage where we see Roddy Piper and Sid Vicious talking, assumingly about what happened earlier tonight with Ric Flair and Dusty Rhodes regarding Ric Flair wanting Roddy. We come into the backstage area where Roddy Piper and Sid Vicious are talking, assumingly about what happened earlier tonight regarding Ric Flair coming to Dusty Rhodes to make a match official, but one-on-one between him and Roddy Piper. Now we move to the next match where Sting goes against Diamond Dallas Page, but something comes from out of nowhere. The match ends in a draw at around 13 and a half minutes when Bam Bam Bigelow interferes and attacks Diamond Dallas Page and Sting, causing the double disqualification and the draw in the match. And the night ends with Randy Savage. Actually, once again, this segment shouldn't have been there either. Oh well. I apologize for including segments that shouldn't have been there, but whatever. So, we once again increase. We once again go up. We once again go up. Like we did like we did 2 weeks ago, like we did the week after that, like we did the week of the pay-per-view. And we continue to go up. Maybe I've been right. Maybe it is a sign of things to come. Maybe the game is finally getting used to what I've been doing, and maybe maybe I changed something and I didn't even realize it. Whatever the case is, things have changed. Things have gotten a lot better. Do you agree with the game that this show is good? Put it down in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, subscribe for more content just like this that you can only find right here on Wrestling Express. Till next time. Peace.